Welcome to Global Sky Update. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. This is gonna blow your mind. The news broke with the force of a geopolitical earthquake, sending shockwaves through newsrooms and government offices alike. Overnight, what was once a simmering issue had erupted into the global spotlight. This morning, November 16, 2025, the Philippine government made a move that would reverberate far beyond its borders. In a packed press conference, officials unveiled a new official map, one that would instantly become the center of international attention. At first glance, it's the familiar archipelago, a nation of more than 7,000 islands. But now, a bold new feature stands out. Sabah, highlighted unmistakably, is marked as part of the Philippines. The change is impossible to miss, and its implications are even harder to ignore. This isn't just a cartographic update, it's a bold political statement, a move that sent shockwaves from Manila to Kuala Lumpur and beyond. The air is thick with tension as both governments scramble to respond. Decades of dormant debate, long confined to history books and diplomatic back-channels, have erupted into a full-blown territorial dispute. Old wounds are reopened, and the world is reminded that borders are never just lines on a map. The government has moved the claim from the footnotes of history onto the official map, making it tangible, immediate, and impossible to ignore. What was once theoretical is now official policy, printed in ink for all to see. Social media is ablaze with #Sabah hours as citizens, politicians, and influencers weigh in. News channels scramble to interpret the move, analysts debate its meaning, and the public is left to wonder what comes next. In Manila, anticipation is thick. Diplomats brace for fallout, aware that every word and gesture will be scrutinized. In Malaysia, a swift and severe response is expected, as leaders convene emergency meetings to chart their next steps. This is more than a disagreement. It's a direct challenge to Malaysia's sovereignty, a move that could redefine relations between the two nations and reshape the region's political landscape. The new map is a declaration, a line drawn not just on paper, but between two nations. It's a statement of intent, a challenge, and a warning all at once. The world now watches, holding its breath, to see what happens when that line is crossed, and whether diplomacy or confrontation will shape the next chapter in this unfolding story. What makes this new map so revolutionary? Why is it causing such a stir, not just within the country, but across the region and even internationally? The change is both simple and profound, altering not just lines on paper, but the very narrative of national identity and territorial ambition. For decades, previous maps of the Philippines ended at the Sulu archipelago, with the nation's southernmost boundary stopping just short of the waters that separate it from Borneo. Now, for the first time, Sabah is boldly labeled as the Sabah Special Administrative Region, visually and symbolically connected to Tawi-Tawi, as if erasing the sea that once divided them. This marks a dramatic shift, from a passive, often ambiguous claim, to an unmistakable, active assertion of sovereignty. On the new map, Sabah is shaded in the vibrant colors of the Philippine flag, its cities renamed with Filipino names, and the maritime boundaries now boldly encompass the entire North Borneo coastline, leaving no doubt about the intent. This isn't just a routine update. It's a sweeping redefinition of what the nation considers its rightful territory, a visual rewriting of history and geography. Soon, school children will learn from this map, absorbing its message as fact. Government agencies will use it for planning, security, and resource management, embedding the claim into daily governance. The government frames this move not as provocation, but as a long-overdue correction of a historical oversight, emphasizing legitimacy over aggression. Maps are more than navigational tools. They are powerful instruments of statecraft, visual declarations of identity, ambition, and intent that shape perceptions and policies. By publishing this map, the Philippines is sending a clear, unmistakable message to Malaysia and the international community. The claim is no longer just words, but a matter of official record. It's a formal challenge to the status quo, compelling neighboring countries and global powers to take notice and respond, whether diplomatically or otherwise. In this way, the map itself has become a diplomatic actor, an active participant in Southeast Asia's complex and ever-evolving geopolitical landscape, shaping conversations and decisions at the highest levels. To understand the uproar, we must look back to the era of sultans and colonial powers. The claim to Sabah traces to the Sultanate of Sulu, which received North Borneo from Brunei in 1704. In 1878, the Sultan of Sulu signed a deed with British traders. The Philippines says it was a lease. Malaysia says it was a cession. Malaysia still pays annual cession money to the Sultan's heirs, which the Philippines sees as proof of a landlord-tenant relationship. Malaysia argues the agreement was a permanent transfer, legitimized by the 1963 formation of Malaysia and a UN-backed survey. The Philippines never dropped its claim, and the issue has simmered for decades. In 2013, violence erupted in Lahad Datu, showing the dangerous potential of this unresolved dispute. This complex, emotionally charged history is the volatile backdrop to today's new map.
The newsroom is buzzing. Let's go live to Miguel Castro at the Department of Foreign Affairs.
There's controlled urgency here. An emergency task force is meeting, and officials say this move was years in the making.
Thank you, Miguel. Now to Fatima Reyes in Kuala Lumpur. Fatima?
The reaction here is furious. The Philippine ambassador has been summoned. Malaysian media call it cartographic aggression. A parliament member called the map a grave insult. Ordinary Malaysians see Sabah as inseparable from their nation. This is seen as a direct threat to Malaysia's identity and territorial integrity. The pressure on the Malaysian government to respond forcefully is immense.
The tension is palpable on both sides of the sea. The world is watching as events unfold.
Malaysia's reaction was inevitable. For Kuala Lumpur, Sabah is non-negotiable.
The Philippine claim is seen as baseless and irresponsible, a direct challenge to sovereignty. Expect a diplomatic offensive, protest notes, summoning the ambassador, and a public rejection of the new map.
Malaysia points to the 1963 Cobbled Commission and decades of Sabah's integration as proof of legitimacy.
Any suggestion otherwise is an affront to the nation and Sabah's people.
Malaysia may retaliate economically, review labor agreements, or suspend security cooperation.
Ultimately, Malaysia's stance is absolute rejection. They see this as a desperate populist ploy. The message is clear. Sabah is Malaysia, and any claim will be met with unwavering resistance. The ball is now in Manila's court. The new map doesn't just spark a bilateral crisis, it sends shockwaves across Southeast Asia. ASEAN, built on consensus and non-interference, is now forced into an uncomfortable position. The Philippine action challenges ASEAN's core principle of respecting sovereignty.
Security cooperation in the Sulu and Celebes Seas is at risk. If Malaysia withdraws, extremist groups could exploit the vacuum.
The dispute complicates the already tense South China Sea situation, giving China an opportunity to exploit ASEAN's divisions.
Major powers like the US and Japan will be concerned about regional stability and freedom of navigation. The Philippines may find itself isolated, as few nations support historical claims over stable borders.
The government may have damaged its diplomatic standing and undermined regional security. The calm waters of ASEAN diplomacy have been disturbed. A storm may be brewing.
We're bringing you the latest on a rapidly developing story, the release of a new Philippine map that now includes Sabah, a move that has sparked outrage and a swift, angry response from Malaysia. This controversial decision is making headlines across the region and has the potential to reshape diplomatic relations in Southeast Asia. To help us understand the deeper implications, I'm joined by Professor Ricardo de Leon, an expert in international relations and Southeast Asian politics. Professor, what's the Philippine government's endgame here? Is this just a symbolic gesture, or is there a larger strategy at play behind this bold move?
It's a high-risk, high-reward move that could have far-reaching consequences. The government is taking a calculated gamble, knowing that the stakes are incredibly high. Manila's main objective is to force the Sabah issue back onto the international agenda after years of being sidelined. They want the world to pay attention and to reignite discussions that have long been dormant. By officially placing Sabah on the map, the Philippines is demanding recognition of its claim and possibly hoping to trigger renegotiations or even international arbitration. This is a direct challenge to the status quo and a signal that Manila is not backing down.
But couldn't this strategy backfire badly? After all, Malaysia is not just a neighbor, but a key economic and diplomatic partner for the Philippines. Any escalation could threaten years of cooperation and trust between the two countries, putting vital trade and security agreements at risk.
Absolutely. The risk of a rupture in diplomatic and economic ties is very real. If Malaysia feels provoked, it could retaliate in ways that hurt both countries. The Philippines could find itself increasingly isolated within ASEAN, losing support from regional allies who value stability and unity. The government is betting that international pressure will help de-escalate the situation, but there's a real danger they're underestimating Malaysia's resolve and willingness to stand firm. This could spiral into sanctions, a security crisis, and a damaged reputation for the Philippines on the world stage. The economic fallout could be severe, affecting ordinary citizens and businesses alike. Right now, the world's attention is fixed on Manila. The decisions made in the coming days will have immediate and potentially severe consequences for the country's future. The government must now carefully manage the fallout from this bold and controversial move, as the eyes of the world remain firmly on the Philippines.
The Philippine government faces tough choices. Having drawn the line, retreat would mean a loss of credibility. The first challenge, managing the diplomatic firestorm and explaining the move as a historical correction, not expansionism. Domestically, nationalism is surging, limiting the government's flexibility. Any sign of weakness could be politically disastrous. Retaliation from Malaysia could impact the economy and the welfare of nearly 1 million Filipinos in Malaysia. The next step might be to bring the dispute to the International Court of Justice, but Malaysia is unlikely to agree. The map is a powerful statement, but without a forum to enforce it, the crisis may remain unresolved. The government must decide, is this the start of a sustained campaign or a one-off statement? The path forward is uncertain and perilous.
The 2025 Philippine map is more than a headline. It's a pivotal event that's altered Southeast Asia's geopolitical chessboard. A dormant claim is now a live dispute, shattering the region's harmony and exposing old grievances. Every nation and major power must now reassess their relationships with the Philippines and Malaysia. ASEAN's ability to manage conflict is being tested. Its relevance is on the line. The move could inspire other nations to assert historical claims, threatening decades of stability. The dispute risks disrupting economic, cultural, and security ties across the region. The Philippines has made a powerful statement, but at the cost of plunging its relationship with Malaysia and regional stability into crisis. A line on a map has changed everything.